paano ba natin sisimulan ito mga buddy? Alam nyo, blessing in disguise na na-send sa atin nung isa nating kabady yung link nung video ni Madam Rita Gadi, itong Where is the Money na ating ginawa ng reaction video nung isang araw. At hindi ko akalain na ganun kadami ang makakapanood nito. Nasa 74,000 views na. At nabasa ko sa mga comment mga buddy na marami pa talagang hindi nakakaalam sa totoong nangyari noong panahon ni Marcos. So dito tinatalakay kung nasaan ba yung mga pera, yung tungkol sa Swiss account, at marami tayong pinag-usapan dito sa video na to. Then yung pangalawa na video na kung saan naman ay nasa 94,000 views na, ay may title na mga taong pumasok sa Malacanang pagkaalis ni Ferdinand Marcos at saka yung kanyang pamilya. Dito ay pinangalanan ni Madam Rita Gadi yung mga naunang pumasok, sina Joker Arroyo, si Potenciano Roque, yung nakakita ng diamond na ibinigay niya kay Mrs. Corazon Aquino, yung mga kamadyong ni Mrs. Aquino, at yung pagpasok, pagbaba ni Tingting Cojuangco na may bitbit na Louis Vuitton suitcases na ayon doon sa witness ay ito ay non-documents. So kayo na lang yung humusga kung ano yung laman nito. Marami akong nabasa sa comment dito na talagang doon nila na-realize kung sino ang totoong magnanakaw. Biruin nyo nga naman, sa dami ba naman ang isinampang kaso sa Marcoses? Almost nasa 900 plus ata. Ayon nga dito kay Madam Rita, na-dismiss. Walang ipinakita na mga dokumento ang mga Marcoses dito, ayon sa kanya. Talagang kapag pumapasok nga doon sa courthouse ang prosecutions team, ay sa halip na suitcases ang dala ay shopping cart ang dala sa sobrang dami ng mga dokumento na nakolekta nila noon. Pero wala ni isang sa dokumento na yon ang nagpatunay na talagang nagnakaw ang pamilya Marcos sa kaban ng bayan. Dahil ang mga ginamit daw nila doon ay puro mga newspaper clippings, yung mga balita. Naintindihan natin na kaya pala hindi nagsampa ng criminal case si Mrs. Corazon Aquino or ng Aquino government sa Pilipinas ay dahil ayaw nga nilang pauwiin si Ferdinand Marcos, kaya puro civil case lang ang isinampa. Itong ating video na ating pag-uusapan ay isa na namang pagsisiwalat ni Madam Rita Gadi sa mga nangyari, at bibigyan natin ng pansin dito yung mga kinuha ng mga pag-aari ng mga Marcoses ng PCGG or ng Philippine Commissions on Good Government. Itong video na to na may title na Truth to Tell ay may haba na 54 minutes, pero hindi natin panonoodin to lahat. Kagaya nung aking nabanggit dun sa previous video na ating pinalabas, ilalagay ko po yung link ng video na to na nandito sa may katipunan ng Demokratikong Pilipino. Ilalagay ko po ang link nito para mapanood nyo ng buo. So ito ay may 10,493 views pa lamang at ini-upload noong September 15, 2020. Siguro yung mga nakapanood dito hindi masyadong inunawa rin yung mga isiniwalat dito, mga revelation ni Madam Rita Gadi. Kaya ito na yung pagkakataon na unawain nyo mabuti at panoorin ang totoong nangyari, ang mga naging kaganapan noong after na umalis na nga si Marcos sa Malacanang at sinikwester na yung mga gamit, yung mga ari-arian nila, yung mga personal na gamit nila. Nandito po lahat sa video na to. At dito sa unang bahagi, pabubulaanan ni Madam Rita Gadi na si Marcos ay tuta ng kano. Kasi noong panahon na yan, maraming mga aktivista, maraming mga nagwewelga sa kalsada na sinasabi na si Marcos daw ay tuta ng kano. Nung ako ay elementary, naririnig ko na tong or nababasa ko na to sa dyaryo na Marcos, tuta ng kano, puppet ng kano. Ano bang ibig sabihin nito? So ibig sabihin, 'di ba, kapag tuta ka, sumusunod ka palagi doon sa iyong ina, Kita mo yung mga tuta, mga bagong panganak na aso. Sumusunod lagi sila, nakabuntot palagi sila sa kanilang ina. Ganon isinasalarawan si Pangulong Marcos. Kapag sinabing puppet ay ganun din. Kasi ang puppet ay pinagagalaw ng isang puppeteer or ng isang tao sa pamamagitan ng mga tali. So kung ano man ang gawin ng puppeteer, kung palakarin, kung patayuin, kung pasayawin yung puppet, nasa kanya na yon. Ganun sinasalarawan mga body noon. Pero dito sa ipinahayag ni Madam Rita Gadi, ito yung mga pagpapatunay na si Marcos ay hindi tuta or hindi puppet ng Amerikano. Ito ngayon ang panoorin natin mga body. Umpisahan na natin.
As far as its well, how would you call this? As far as the what people would say that he was a puppet of America. So as far as the dictates of Washington are concerned, they were a little bit wary about this. Despite the fact that there was the perception of those opposing President Marcos, plus all these activists and militants with all the banners they were raising, what would they write there in the walls and in all their placards? Tuta ng Amerikano. You know, they would say Marcos is a puppet of America. They gave the perception that Marcos would follow anything that America wants. But here is the truth. When Marcos was proclaimed President of the Republic of the Philippines after the elections for the presidency in 1965, so he had his first term in the year 1966. He was immediately, perhaps just a few months after he sat into office as Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive of the Republic of the Philippines, he was invited for a state visit to the United States of America, where he would be able to address, and that was exactly what was programmed, the Joint House of the American Congress. At that time, simultaneous to that elections here in the Philippines, there was a war waging in Vietnam. That was the Vietnam War. To many of you who were not born at the time, you may think that this is already part of ancient history. Well, that was one of the longest wars here in our part of Asia. That was the North and South Vietnam. The North was supported by the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Soviets, the Communist Russia as you would call it today. And the other half, which was South Vietnam, was supported by the United States of America. So it was, in effect, a very real surrogate war between two world powers at the time, communism and democracy. So they were, America was really lining up its allies, especially here in Asia, to fight in the Vietnam War together with them. Russia did not have to have any allies because it's one of the biggest countries. It had all the Soviet republics at the time. But it was America that needed the support of its allies here in Asia so that it could go to war and say to the world that, you see, we are here fighting for the preservation of democracy in this little country of Vietnam. So they invited Marcos so that Marcos would address Congress in America and declare that he would be joining his, how do you call this, brother America in the war in Vietnam. And Marcos spoke spontaneously without any document. His speech was not written down that he could read. There were no teleprompters yet that were installed at the time, or perhaps it was not yet in place even at the time. And he spoke spontaneously, talking about the relationship our country has with America, and of course the repetition of that line, America does not forget, meaning that America will always stand by its allies and will not forget, of course, the benefits that ought to be given to our soldiers here in the Philippines who fought side by side with America when we were invaded by Japan, which is an enemy of America, together with the simultaneous bombing of Pearl Harbor and of Manila. But be that as it may, that was the speech of President Marcos. Not one line at all was mentioned as far as the Vietnam War was concerned.
Ito ni Madam Rita Gadi, nung nakaupo na si Pangulong Marcos, dumating yung point na ito na yung kasagsagan ng Vietnam War. So yung Amerika ay dito sa south part ng Vietnam at yung USSR or yung Russia ay sa northern part. So nung nagbigay ng speech si Pangulong Marcos sa Amerika, inaasahan ng US na ang Pilipinas ay makikisali sa labanan, no? Kumbaga tutulong sila, magiging ally siya ng Amerika para labanan yung mga Vietnamese. At doon sa speech niya, na kung saan ay wala siyang kodigo, hindi niya nabanggit yung pagsapi niya o pagsapi ng Pilipinas sa labanang ito, kundi may binanggit si Pangulong Marcos na sasali lang siya, pero yung kanyang mga ipapadalang sundalo ay mga non-combatant. Kumbaga ito yung mga re-rebuild ng mga nasira ng gera, pero hindi lalaban mismo sa gera dahil ayaw niya na makipaglaban sa Vietnam dahil nga ito ay isang napakalapit na kapit bahay natin o ring bansa. Parang ganun ang gustong iparating ni Marcos. Magpapadala siya ng sundalo pero hindi para lumaban kundi para mag-develop uli, mag-rebuild ng mga nasira nung gera. Ituloy natin yung sinasabi ni Madam Rita.
And that really made Washington bureaucracy very uncomfortable.
Ayun. So, na-disappoint ang Washington bureaucracy. Sabi nga niya, dahil nga hindi nila ina-expect na ganun yung sasabihin ni Marcos or wala siyang mababanggit pala tungkol dito. Hindi siya sasapi or sasali sa gera ng Amerika at ng Vietnam.
And so what happened? Prior to that, Marcos was an Imelda, where covers of all the leading magazines and newspapers in America, in the Western media. Marcos was the staunch ally of democracy of the United States of America, the most decorated war hero, etc. All the praises and accolades given to him on front pages and covers of magazines, Time, Life, Newsweek, all of this. Plus, Imelda also was also featured as the most beautiful and the most brilliant and the most active, etc. of all the first ladies in the world. And they were really glorified in many ways, just so as there would be that acceptance that here is a staunch defender of democracy here in Southeast Asia who would be joining America in the Vietnam War. Marcos instead told Washington, I will be sending my soldiers, but they will be non-combatant. They will help in infrastructure, in medical services, and whatever else is needed, but they are not going to carry any guns, and we are not going to fight together with you to shoot the Vietnamese. Vietnam is a neighbor, barely 5 hours away from our country, and I cannot dare fight a neighbor. And that was how America, or at least the Washington bureaucracy, felt very uncomfortable. So when you say that all the opposition was right, when they say puppet of America, it is not true, because that was the first few months of the Marcos presidency. Next to that, well, the American bases here occupied something like 10,000 or so hectares of land in Subic and in Clark. And Marcos reduced that land coverage to about just a few hundred hectares. From, I think, 100,000 hectares or about 10,000 hectares, I really don't know, but there was a very big reduction of the territory that was occupied, because sabi nga ni President Marcos, they do not need that much land because all of that could also be devoted to agricultural purposes. Anyway, in addition to that, he also had the Philippine flag fly over these bases, not the American flag. So he had the American flag lowered and the Philippine flag raised, because this is Philippine territory and those American soldiers are simply occupying the territory. Plus, we are not going to accept just whatever aid U.S. Congress would want to extend to us. So when they say, we give you this so many hundred millions for aid and we just give you some second-hand ammunitions and material, war material, that is it. Be content with that for the use of those bases. So Marcos said, no, you pay rent the way other...
Matindi pala ang ginawa no ni Marcos. Pero nyo, binawasan pa yung yung lupa na nasasakupan ng US bases. Kumbaga, sa halip na ganito kalaki, binawasan niya kasi gusto niya na magamit yung ibang lupa para sa agrikultura. At sa mga US bases, ang flag ng Philippines ang mas mataas kaysa sa doon sa flag ng Amerika. Eh kung siya'y tuta, susunod lang siya sa mga kagustuhan ng Amerika. Ito yung pagpapatunay na yung mga naririnig natin sa mga welga, yung mga nababasa natin na si Ferdinand Marcos ay tuta ng kano, ay hindi makatotohanan. Kundi ito ay gawa-gawa lamang ng mga kalaban niya upang siya ay pabagsakin. At alam nyo ba mga buddy na itong nangyari kay Marcos ay may kasunduan ang Amerika at ang Aquino government. Kaya nagkaroon ng kaso si Marcos sa US, doon na dinala dahil parang binawasan ni Marcos yung year na pag-stay dito ng Amerika. Ginawa lang na 25 years. So malapit na noon na ma-expire ang lagi ng mga US bases, no, sa ating bansa. At nung umupo si Cory Aquino, 'di ba, nagkaroon nga ng snap election, nanalo doon si Marcos, pero dahil nga may manipulasyon na ng Amerika, ay si Cory ang naupo. At ang kasunduan pala dyan, ayon din dun sa isang witness na nabanggit ni Madam Rita Gadi, ang kasunduan pala dyan, kapag nakasuhan si Marcos sa mga ill-gotten wealth, may pinaparatang sa kanya, sa alleged ill-gotten wealth, ay ma-extend ang Amerika, no, ng paglagi ng kanyang mga US bases sa Pilipinas. Yun pala naging kasunduan dyan ng Aquino government at ng Amerika. At yan ay nabanggit ng witness doon sa huling bahagi ng trial sa US. Yun ang masakit na katotohanan. Kaya pala nagkaganon-ganon na lamang ang gobyerno noon, na akala natin ay nasa daang matuwid. At ito pa, banggitin natin ngayon dito yung mga ginawa or yung mga sinikwester na mga gamit ng PCGG sa mga Marcoses. Alam nyo, nakakapanlumo na malaman na ganito pala ang nangyari sa kanila noon.
No, if it's a filing cabinet, but the combination to the safe was pasted on the door of the safe.
Okay, itong part na to, yung kay Potenciano Roque, na nakita yung diamond na ibinigay niya kay Corazon Aquino. Inulit niya dito.
Diamonds, and he said he took this, and they did not have an inventory. They did not have a pad paper writing down what they were putting in these boxes. They just looked over documents. They saw the purchases of several equipment, exercise equipment for Aimee Marcos or whatever it is, kasi may mga resibo. They took it, they saw whatever, with a grocery cart, the one that we use, not even the private clothes and underwear, etc. Many of them still unused. They were never returned even after the acquittal of Mrs. Marcos in New York, that criminal case in New York. So you have there, for instance, they also got antiques, valuable antiques, the Russian silver collection, the priceless gifts given to them by heads of state whenever they would come to the country or whenever there were state visits, the works of art such as paintings of the Renaissance and pre-Renaissance already exhibited. Had all the precious objects that were there in the Santo Niño Shrine, the whole library of books there in the library, the People's Library that Imelda built, and the house there in Olot, her hometown, which is outside of Tacloban City, was completely ravaged. Almost not one pillar was left. Everything else stayed. The roof, the ceiling, the flooring, the cabinets, everything. The silverware, the plates, all was taken away.
Ito mga buddy, ito yung pinakamatindi na ginawa ng PCGG sa pamilyang Marcos. Pakinggan yung mabuti ang sasabihin ni Madam Rita Gadi.
There in the library, the People's Library that Imelda built, it is located there in Tacloban City. They even dug up the graves of the family of Imelda Romualdez, from her grandparents, her parents, her unborn child, because she had a miscarriage, and her brothers and sisters. They dug up the graves looking for the possibility that there could be gold that would be kept there, and left the bones unburied. They just dug it up, looked for gold, and left the remains of the family of Imelda Romualdez above ground. And when Mrs. Marcos returned in 91, the first thing that she did was to fly to Tacloban to rebury the bones of her ancestors, her mother, her father, brothers and sisters, and all the rest of her family. That was the PCGG. And the house there in...
Matindi, no? Piruin ninyo. Nagawa yun ng Aquino government, ng PCGG. Ultimo, mga nakalibing ng mga kamag-anak, magulang, o ninuno ni First Lady. Sa pag-aakalang nandoon yung ginto na itinatago nila, hinukay. Ang masama nito, pagkahukay nung walang nakita, pinabayaan na lamang na naka-expose. Hindi uli ibinaon yung mga buto. Ganun katindi ang ginawa. Ang daming mga gamit nila na mga sariling gamit, no? Pandawala. Ngayon, sino ang dapat tawagin natin na magnanakaw, mga buddy? Sino ang dapat nating tawagin na magnanakaw? Ito bang mga Marcoses? Or itong Aquino government? Kayo na po ang humusga. Muli, ito si Iman Supremo. See you next time, mga buddy.